y'all? Welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video where we are going to be playing with the new Green Goddess palette from Bella Beauté Bar. I am so excited about this because Bella Beauté Bar is one of my absolute favorite indie brands. I love their color stories, I love their formula, but honestly, this is the first color story in a hot minute that has really caught my attention. There was a time that I picked up everything they released, and when I picked up the Vamp palette last year, I realized I don't need to pick up every single color story, especially if it's one that is just not a me color story. That one was, I didn't love it as much as I wanted to, so I kind of skipped out on the past few releases, but this one got me with the color story because I think it's incredibly beautiful. I love the cover art. I think she looks beautiful. She is definitely a green goddess, and the color story in here, y'all, it is greens, it is neutrals, it is cool tones, it is warm tones. I think it is stunning. This is a 15 pan magnetic palette. You are going to get 8 mattes, 7 multi-chromes, and I cannot wait to dive into this and create 2 looks for y'all. This palette is still currently available on their website, so it will be linked down below. And in all transparency, I am affiliated with the brand. However, this palette was not sent to me in PR. I did purchase it with my own money, but I do have a code with the brand. It is going to be SARAHT. That will save you 10% off, and I do get a kickback if you use that code. So if you do choose to use it, thank you so much for helping support me and my channel. I appreciate and love you so much. But like I said, this palette will be linked down below in the description box, as well as everything else that I am wearing on my face today. So per usual, if you're ever curious about anything I use in any of my videos here on my channel, always check the description box because I squeeze as much information as I possibly can into that tiny little space. But without further ado, let's zoom in, prime my eyes, and get into creating our 2 looks. So as always, my eyes are primed and ready to go with my MAC paint pot in the shade Painterly. And for my first look, I want to play with the greens in here. You have like this 9 pan green palette going on over here, and then you have these 6 more neutral leaning shades over here. So I think I'm going to do something a little predictable in my opinion and do a very monochromatic green look for the first one, and then we'll dive into these shades over here and do something a little bit more neutral with maybe a pop of color. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and start with this shade right here, which is called Nourish. It is more of a cool tone leaning green shade, so I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with a Morphe M504 brush, and I'm going to start by kind of fluffing this into my crease, building up a little bit of definition, a little bit of the shape. And look at that, absolutely gorgeous, pigmented right out the gate. I'm not getting any fallout, any patching, skipping, nothing like that. Like I said at the beginning of the video, Bella Beauté Bar has my absolute favorite formula. If I could only purchase from one brand, this would be it. I just think their formula is so easy to work with. It is pigmented, it is user friendly, they blend out effortlessly. I never have to worry about if it's going to fade, crease, transfer, or do anything throughout the day. But with that being said, I have so many other eyeshadow formulas that I love as well that I truly would be heartbroken if I only had to stick with one. Next, I want to dive into this minty green shade up here, which is called Tranquil, and I'm going to use that on my inner corner, but I'm also going to use it to kind of soften up my perimeter as well. I don't think I necessarily need to. I could leave my perimeter where it is, but I want to go in with just a little bit of this. So I'm going to start by picking this shade up with a Morphe M506 brush. I really should have these numbers memorized at this point, but I get them mixed up. I can't ever remember which numbers exactly go with which brush. I'm going to start by popping this right here in my inner corner. That is such a fun, just kind of pastel moment. I think it's really pretty. It's nice and pigmented. It's not chalky. I'm not getting any fallout. It's blending into that other shade really nicely. So I'm just going to kind of blend those 2 shades together right here. And then I'm going to take just a little bit extra on my brush and very lightly handed go right along the edge of that first shade that I put down. Like I'm barely touching my skin. Like I said, you can absolutely skip this step if you want to. I mean, you can do whatever you want. I'm just here to give you a little bit of inspiration. I'm just going to go right along that edge and kind of blend things out and soften it just a little bit. With that same brush, I'm going to go into this shade right here, which is called Demeter. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up a little bit of that, and I'm just going to start to build up my outer corner over here. So I am just going to bring it about 1/3 of the way over and then start to kind of wing it out just a little bit, giving me some depth out here and then blending it into my crease into that first shade. And I think I'm going to bring this down onto my lower lash line as well, but I don't think I'm going to bring it all the way over because I kind of feel like I want to do a little pop pop of something down here. Maybe one of those more like warm tone neutral shades on the other side of the palette. So I'm just going to blend it over here, make sure it blends into this outer corner. We don't have any harsh lines, that everything kind of connects and wraps around. I do want to see if I can deepen up this outer corner just a little bit further. So I'm going to go in with this shade right here, which is called Goddess. And I'm going to go in with that same Morphe brush that I used for the last couple of shades. I just wiped it off really good. And I am going to kind of press it right out here. Yeah, that's definitely giving me a little bit of depth and smokiness out there. So you can take this pretty deep if you wanted to, and that's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see if it was going to kind of get lost in that green shade or if it was going to deepen it up, and it is deepening it up. So I'm going to take that down onto my lower lash line as well, just right here in that very outer corner, giving me that pop of smokiness. So really quick, I'm going back in with that shade called Tranquil, which is that mint green shade. And I'm just going right along the edge of my outer corner just to kind of soften it a little bit and kind of wrap that shade around and give me a nice cohesive look. And I think I'm also going to bring that shade down onto the rest of my lower lash line as well. I was toying with the idea of doing a pop of color, but I think I want to keep this pretty monochromatic. So I'm just going to pick up a little bit more of that shade and bring it along the rest of my lower lash line. And then I'm going to go ahead and prime my eye with my NYX glitter primer, and we're gonna put some shimmer all over this lid. All right, so my lid is primed and ready to go, and I have no idea what I want to put all over the lid because we have got so many incredibly beautiful options. This one right here is this really pretty like chartreuse to aqua green shade, which I think would be beautiful, but I also really like this one up here, which has more of like this blue-green flip to it, but then there's this one which is more of like a green to a gold flip, so I don't know what I want to do. We're going to swatch these out on the hand and see what I want to play with. So I'm going to start with the shade down here, which is called Fertility. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up a little bit of that. There is the shade right there. Oh my gosh, that is so beautiful. Look at that. So flippy and shifty and just absolutely gorgeous. I think that one would look beautiful all over the lid, but let's see what the other two shades look like as well. So next I'm going to go into this one up here, which is called Renewal. This one I think might be a favorite of mine. It just looks like it's going to be so pretty. So that is that shade right there. Ooh, that one has a little bit of a brown base to it. That would be really pretty with the more neutral leaning shades in this palette. So maybe not that one with this look. That one's not quite giving me the vibe that I want. But then we also have the shade Lush, which is the other one that I was looking at. I think I'm going to use this one to kind of blend the shimmer and the mattes on my outer corner together. But let's swatch out Lush really quick. So this is that shade right here. Oh my gosh, this one is so insanely smooth and beautiful. Like, I want to put that one, I think, all over my lid. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna go with the shade Lush. So I'm just gonna go ahead and pick that up with my finger. Usually I go in with a BK Beauty 203 brush, but mine is dirty. So we're just gonna go in with a good old finger today, and I'm gonna press this all over my lid, bringing it over and bumping it up to that shade on the outer corner, bringing it over to the inner corner. And I think we actually might put something in the inner corner, but look at that. Holy smokes, is that gorgeous. It is very smooth, very reflective, and I think it looks gorgeous on the eye. So next I'm going to go in with this shade right here, which is called Tafiti, and I'm going to use that to kind of soften that blend between the matte and the shimmer out here. I do feel like it's blending together really nicely, but I feel like I can blend it just a little bit better. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with my finger. Oh my gosh, that is so pretty. Again, very, very smooth. It has like these really pretty holographic sparkles in it. I hope the camera is picking all of that up, and if not, I hope whenever I throw the swatches in here that you can see it a little bit better. I haven't swatched this palette out yet, so I'm just going to pick a little bit of that up, and I'm going to press it right here where that matte and that shimmer meet, like I said, so we can get a better blend going on out here. That looks absolutely gorgeous. I'm just going to go back with a clean finger and kind of blend those two shades together and make sure they just kind of melt into one another, and we have a seamless transition from one shade to the next. And for the inner corner, we're gonna go in with a little bit of this shade right here, which is called Fertility. That was this one right here that I swatched out. So I'm gonna pick that up with a Morphe M709 brush. I'm gonna give it a good little spritz with my MAC Fix Plus, and I'm just gonna pop this right in my inner corner to give a little added sparkle, a little pop of color. Go right over top that mint shade that I put down. You could skip this if you want and leave the inner corner matte, but I want to try and play with as many shades as I possibly can. This one is a little bit more on like the textured chunky side, which isn't a favorite formula of mine. I love my shimmers to be very smooth just because I have more aging lids. They have lots of crinkles and wrinkles. I do have very oily eyelids, and shades like this can kind of crease on me a little bit. So I am getting a little bit of fallout when I pop it in my inner corner, but that's to be expected with a shade like this. But that is so incredibly beautiful. It layered on top of that mint green shade really nicely. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw on some mascara and liner, and I will come back and show y'all the first completed look. All right, y'all, so this is our first completed look, and I think this turned out so stunning. I am in love with this look. I love the combination of the cool tone greens with the warm tone greens, that minty green on the inner corner, the shimmers on the lids. I am floored. I love it. I think it's so incredibly beautiful, and it is everything I expect as far as formula and quality goes from Bella Beauté Bar. But let's go over what I used to finish off this look so we can create our second look with this palette. So in my lower waterline, I went in with a Victoria Beckham Satin Kajal Liner in the shade Seafoam. I ended up lining my lid today with my Half Magic Flick Liquid Eyeliner. I can never say that without stumbling over it, so I'm really impressed that I did. And then I finished everything off with my Too Faced Ribbon Wrapped Lash Mascara. Say that 3 times fast. But let's pop back into this palette and create our second look. So I want to play with these shades over here, do something a little bit kind of neutral, more everyday wearable, something like that. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this shade right here, this really pretty kind of like clay shade, which is called Femininity. God, that is a really hard word to say if I ever found one. But I'm going to go ahead and pick that up with a Singe Beauty EO3 brush, and I am just going to start by putting this in my crease and kind of doing the same thing that I did with the first look, building up a little bit of depth, a little bit of definition, kind of throwing some color in here and giving some shape to my eye. All right, so I think I'm going to bring that onto my lid as well, just bringing it about 1/3 of the way over. So really kind of using this as my main focal point of a shade, and then we'll go back and deepen it up, kind of smoke out the edges a little bit, but that is really pretty. It comes off a little bit more like pinky red on my skin since I do have those cool undertones, but if you have more of a neutral undertone or even like a more olive leaning undertone, it'll definitely come off a little bit different for you. And I think I want to bring that down onto my lower lash line as well. So we're just going to go ahead and kind of wrap it around down there as well. So I'm just going to kind of blend it down there. I'm not going in super precise, meeting it up in my outer corner and making sure that everything is nice and blended. Next, I'm going to take a little bit of this dark brown shade over here called Goddess, which is what I used in the first look to deepen up my outer corner. And I'm just going to deepen up this outer corner a little bit as well. So I'm going to go back in with another Morphe M506 brush, pick it up, and just kind of press it right out here. I don't want to bring it too far over. I don't want to smoke this out too much, but I love having that depth on my outer corner. For me, I feel like it kind of lifts my eyes, opens them up a little bit, and makes them look a little bit younger. And isn't that what we're all going for? At least it's what I'm going for. I want to look younger with my makeup. And lastly, before we pop into the shimmers, I want to go in with this shade up here, which is called Growth, and I'm going to pick that up with a Singe Beauty EO6 brush, and I'm just going to kind of pop this in my inner corner and then go right along the edges of this look and kind of soften everything, blend it out a little bit more, just kind of using as many shades as I possibly can. That is really pretty. It's definitely more on the pastel side. It's giving a nice little pop in there, but again, I don't feel like it's coming off chalky. I'm not getting any fallout. It's just blending into everything really nicely. So I'm just going to go right along the edge and just kind of soften everything a little bit. Again, I don't feel like I necessarily need to do this. I feel like this is blending out effortlessly in my opinion, but we're just using as many shades as we possibly can for these two looks. So once again, my eye is primed and ready to go. And for all over the lid, we're going to do a combination of these two shades right here. So again, I'm going to swatch them out on my hand and then decide on my placement from there. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this shade down here, which is called Enchant. So I'm Just gonna pick a little bit of that up. Oh, this is a really pretty gold shade. That's gonna look gorgeous. It has just a little bit of like a rosy flip to it, so almost like a rose gold. Very, very pretty. And the other shade in the top corner is called Balance. So that is what this one looks like. This one's a little bit more on like the topper side. It has more of a translucent base to it, but again, it has that really pretty kind of rosy flip to it. Those are gonna look absolutely beautiful. So I think what we're gonna do is this one all over the lid, which is called Enchant, and then we're gonna go in with the shade called Balance. I couldn't read it, there was a huge glare. We're gonna go in with the shade Balance and put that on my inner corner. So picking up the shade Enchant, I'm gonna press this all over my lid. Wow, that is so beautiful. This is another one of those shades that's very smooth. Actually, both of these are really smooth. So far, I've only found a couple of them that are a little bit more on that textured, chunky side, but most of these are really, really smooth. That's gorgeous. So since I don't have a darker shimmer that I can use to kind of blend those two shades together, I'm going back with just a little bit of that dark brown shade, and I am just very lightly kind of going over right here on my outer corner with that shimmer and that matte meat. And as I go over top, it'll just kind of blend everything together a little bit better, just so I don't have a harsh line. That looks really pretty. I love how it's like smoky on the outer corner and just that really pretty pop of like rose gold all over the lid. But what I'm going to do next is I'm going to pick up that other shade called Balance, and I need to find a clean brush first. I know there's one around here somewhere, so give me just a second. So with my Singe Beauty EO1 brush, I picked up that shade called Balance, which is this one right here. I'm going to spray it with my MAC Fix Plus, and I'm going to pop this one right here in the very inner corner, just kind of blending it down to the lower lash line, blending it up onto the lid, and then I'm going to throw on some liner and mascara, and I will come back and show you all the completed look. And there you have it, our second completed look with this palette. I think this one turned out beautiful as well. I love that I was able to get something a little bit more on the neutral side, but it's still fun and colorful, and that rose gold shimmer on the lid is stunning. I think it turned out beautiful. But let's go over what I used to finish off this look. So of course we can turn the lights down, see the shimmer, the shift, the sparkle, and then close out this video with some of my first initial impression thoughts. So in my lower waterline, I went in with another Victoria Beckham liner. This one is in the shade Bordeaux. I lined my lid with my Lancome liquid liner in the shade Matte Syrup Brown. I can never remember that. And then for mascara, I went in with a brown mascara. This is the L'Oreal Lash Paradise mascara. Alright y'all, so as always, we're going to close out this video with some of my thoughts on this palette. So while I am very familiar with the Bella Beauté bar formula, keep in mind that this is my first initial impression thoughts. I will absolutely keep y'all updated in a future palette ranking video once I have gotten to every single shade in this palette and created multiple different looks. But as far as the performance today goes in creating these two looks, I love this palette. It is everything I expected it to be. I love the theming, I love the cover art, I love that the color story matches the theming to a T. To me, this is a very well curated color story. You've got warm tones, you've got cool tones. I love the addition of the more neutral leaning shades over here. I feel like it really grounds the palette and gives a lot of versatility to the color story. As far as the formula in here goes, it is impeccable. Bella Beauté bar has my absolute favorite matte formula, hands down, no questions asked. They are pigmented, but they're not so pigmented where they get away from you and you just can't reel them back in. They are just effortless to blend out. I never get any patching, skipping, or fallout. They don't crease, they don't fade, they don't transfer on me. It is a very reliable formula and one that I reach to often whenever I want something colorful, when I want something that I can just use with ease. But as far as the shimmers in here go, they are gorgeous as well. They always are. They're reflective, they are flippy, and while we have nothing but multi-chromes in here, we have different textures as far as multi-chromes go. We have opaque multi-chromes, we have more sheer multi-chromes, something that's going to give you more of an iridescent topper finish to it. We have some that are very, very smooth. smooth, and we have some that are a little bit more on the textured side, but performance-wise, everything performed beautifully. I never have an issue with their formula at all. I never get any creasing with their shimmers either, and I am someone who is very prone to creasing. I have very oily eyelids, so I always prime my eyes. I always use my MAC paint pot and my NYX glitter primer. It is just the perfect combination for me, and with that combination, I don't get any creasing with the shimmers in here. But overall, this palette is going to get 2 big thumbs up for me. I really enjoyed it. I cannot wait to play with it more and create more looks for y'all. But that is going to complete today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know all of your thoughts down below. Let me know if you picked up this palette, if it's on your wish list, which look was your favorite. I want to know it all. Let's have that conversation. Light up that comment section. And as always, I want to thank you all so much for watching my video and spending your time with me. It truly does mean so much to me. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up before you leave. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on that notification bell so that you can be notified of all my future posts here on my channel. And until my next video, have a good one. Bye.